Oliver, it seems thankfully we're nearing a conclusion to this ongoing BP Rosneft saga. Last week we argued that we thought BP should take fewer shares and more cash. It looks like they completely ignored us, and it's going to be at the top end of the range for the cash element of this, for the equity element of this deal.
Yes, that's right. In exchange for selling its 50% stake in TNK-BP, BP will get about $12 billion in cash and over 20% stake in Rosneft. I think that's a little disappointing. It's a big chunk of Rosneft and smaller amount of cash. More cash would have given BP far more flexibility. BP's view is that the 20% stake gives it 2 seats on the board, which will enable it to influence Rosneft's operations and how it acts. And also that it allows it to take the reserves onto its own balance sheet and equity account, so it counts its 20% stake in terms of its own revenues. So that's the benefit of owning that much, but still the cash would have given the company far more flexibility.
And the valuation was pretty much how we expected for last week. We don't have closure yet on the AAR side of Rosneft, of the BP TNK part. That's to come, presumably. So strategically, where do you think BP gets with the 20% then?
Well, strategically, it keeps itself inside Russia, which is obviously one of the world's biggest oil producers. There's a lot of Arctic exploration there. There's potentially cost savings to come out of TNK-BP once Rosneft combines all of TNK-BP with all of its own operations. There's potentially cost savings to come out there, so it gets a big stake there. And Rosneft's very close with the Russian government at the moment, so any new licenses that come up, Rosneft is in a very good place to get it. The word of caution, though, is that Rosneft might not always be quite so close with the Russian government.
And are we overcomplicating things? I mean, that deal with the oligarchs was a nightmare. TNK-BP was one problem after another. Should we perhaps be just thankful that that deal is out of the way, or are there other problems that we might expect?
No, I think we should be thankful that deal's out the way. TNK-BP, as it was previously structured, was more or less sort of static. It couldn't do anything because of the disagreements amongst the shareholders. BP gets out of that, and that's a very nice profit. It only put $8 billion in, and it's coming out with $27 billion plus around $20 billion in dividends. So it's been a very nice, if very problematic investment. In exchange for that, BP gets this stake in Rosneft with a lot of future potential, but none of that's sort of set in stone. There's a lot of uncertainty now about where it goes in Russia with Rosneft.
And we don't know yet about seats on the board or anything like that from a governance perspective.
Well, they'll get 2 seats on the board. There was talk earlier that Rosneft might, in exchange, get a seat on the BP board. We've not had anything more about that today. BP will certainly get 2 seats on the Rosneft board, so would be able to influence the government somewhat. But we have to remember that Rosneft, even after this deal, is 70% owned by the Russian state. So it's clearly Mr. Putin who's going to be calling all the shots.
So I'll put you on the spot with a final question. I mean, is BP a more attractive investment now for the dispassionate investor than last week?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, thank you very much. That's a definite yes. Thank you very much, Oliver, for that.